Hi everybody. So the next section 3 of Chapter 7 is about cash discounts and ordinary dating methods. So these will be the objectives in this section, right? We'll look at how to calculate the net cost for discounts, how to use what's known as the ordinary dating method, determine whether cash discounts are earned, and we'll look at using post-dating and calculating cash discounts. So cash discounts are offered to encourage prompt payment for customers. So in other words, if you pay me quickly, you might receive a discount. Businesses often have to borrow money for day-to-day operations, and so if they can minimize their expenses and things like that, they'll try to do that. Immediate cash payments decrease the need to borrow money. So we're going to first of all look at finding the net cost. So the net cost is the list price minus whatever trade discount minus whatever cash discount you might get. So a cash discount also it might be offered for like offering cash as a form of payment. So let's look at the following invoice here, right? So this is an invoice for Hershey's chocolate, right? And we're charging it to this company, Hancock and O'Brien, in Tremont, Pennsylvania. It's got the date, invoice number, things like that. What we're really concerned with is the material down here, right? So, who knows what all these items are? I don't know, but the idea is we've shipped 2 of this quantity, right? The unit price for whatever this thing is $68.45. And again, since we have 2, you'd multiply that by 2 to get the amount, right? So this is sort of the total amount that Hershey's is shipping to Hancock and O'Brien. So who knows, maybe this is like a candy company, I don't know, a candy shop or something in Tremont, Pennsylvania. And so you have a discount of 2/10 net 30, and the terms of the discount, this is the important new thing that we're looking at here, is you get a 2% discount of 36.35 if paid by 10/16, and then you have net 30 days. So the N30 just stands for net 30 there. So let me sort of explain how this works. So with the ordinary dating method, it expressed on the invoice is 210 net 30, right? And this is read as 210 net 30, and basically what that means is a 2% discount applies if it is paid within 10 days of the invoice, right? So so here's the date, right? So if it's paid within 10 days of this date, right, and then the full invoice must be paid within 30 days. If it isn't, right, then there might be some sort of penalty that applies here. It doesn't say what that means. So again, you might confuse this with the sort of the series discount or multiple discounts we were looking at in the last section, right? This does not mean a 2% discount followed by a 10% discount, right? This is basically says that if you pay, the invoice is due within 30 days, you have to make the payment within 30 days, but as an incentive to pay early, they'll give you a 2% discount if you pay within 10 days, right? And then if you don't pay within 30 days, right, then you'll have to take a penalty, right? And so basically in this particular case, they've already calculated what 2% of the total amount is and things like that. Okay. Now, to find the date of the invoice, you can basically use the number of days in the given chart, and there are various mnemonic devices for remembering this. Like 30 days has September, April, June, and November. You can also kind of use your hand to kind of help you remember that. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. So that might be something that you'll have to calculate, right? I mean, what is 30 days from the date that you've got, right? It'll depend on the number of days in the month and when the invoice is sent and when you receive it. But like I said, one way you can remember that is, the 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31 except for February, which stands alone with 28, right, and a leap year 29. Remember, a leap year occurs every 4 years. So here's another method called the knuckle method, right? So so if you look at these, right? So months that are on your knuckles will be 31 days, and then months between the knuckles will have like 30 days, except for February, which has 28. So you start out with January, which has 31, then February, which has 28, then March, which has 31, then April, which has 30, May, which has 31, June, which has 30, etc., right? So it sort of alternates 31, 30, 31, 30, right, except for February, which only has 28 days, right? So that's another way of remembering that. So whichever way you want to do that is fine. We'll see that there's a table you can kind of look this up in also. So determine whether cash discount is earned, right? You have to find the date due by counting from the next day after the date of the invoice, and then add the given number of days to that starting date. Right? So when the discount date or net payment date falls in the next month, right, you have to subtract the invoice date from the number of days in the month, and subtract that result from the total number of days given to pay, and the result is the due date in the next month. And so that may be kind of confusing. So let's look at a specific example here, right? So if you go back and look at the invoice we were just looking at, right, its invoice date is January 2nd, right? You know, sometimes it can be kind of hard to tell what the invoice date is, right? I mean, is that the date that they received the invoice, or you know, when it was shipped and things like that. So if you have, you know, questions, you can always call the person who shipped the invoice to you. So it offers terms of 210 net 30, and you want to find the last date on which the 2% discount may be taken, right? So so if the invoice is dated January 2nd, right, beginning with the invoice date of January 2nd, the last date for taking the discount is January 2nd plus 10, right? That would be January 12th. So you need to add 10 days to the invoice date. And I'm not sure if they have the correct invoice date on here, but anyway. So that would mean that if you pay, if Hancock and O'Brien pays Hershey by January 12th, right, then they will receive the 2% discount, right? And then if it and then the net payment date, the date at which the payment is due in full, right? If they don't pay it by then, they might have to pay some penalty, right? Would be February 1st, right? Because if it's the invoice is dated January 2nd, right? Remember, they have 30 days. So what's 30 days after January 2nd? Well, January has 31 days in it. So if you take 2 plus 30, right, that'll put you at February 1st, right? So they have until February 1st to pay the the total amount, which would be the $1817.56. Otherwise, they may have to pay extra or something. Right? So let's look at another example here. So let's say you have an invoice is received by Bed Bath & Beyond for $840, and it's dated July 1st, and it offers terms of 210, right? So that means that if the invoice is paid off within 10 days of July 1st, then the person will get a 2% discount. And then N30 means net 30. That means that the net amount, or the whole amount, is due within 30 days of July 1st. So if the invoice is paid on July 8th, and the shipping and insurance charges, which were FOB at the shipping point, are $35.60, find the total amount due, right? So remember, that means free on board ship, right? So in this case, so when is July 8th? Well, the date by which they should get the 2% discount would be 10 days after July 1st, so that would be July 11th. So they should get the 2% discount, but then they also have to pay the $35.60 for the shipping and insurance. So so basically take 2% of the total amount that's due, right, which would be the $840, So that's how much they get off of their payment. So take the $840 minus that, right? So they get a cash discount for paying early, but then you also have to pay the shipping and insurance charges, which are $35.60. So that will give you a total of $858.80. And you know, some problems I may just give you information like that. Other problems I may give you an actual invoice that you'll have to get the information off of. So just, you know, try to do the homework. If you have questions about that, just let me know. Now another thing we want to talk about is post-dating when calculating cash discounts. An invoice may be post-dated, and so what that does is it gives the purchaser more time to take the cash discount, and it may, you know, one reason why you might do this is it might fit the accounting practices of the seller, and the seller will use the date that is after the actual invoice date labeled as of. So in this case, right, you have the date of 7/25, but it's as of 8/1, right? So, you know, so here's the actual date of the invoice, but maybe, you know, you really don't have to start calculating things until the 1st of August, right? Maybe there's an advantage waiting another month or something, right? Who knows why? So here's the person that gets the invoice, right? Here's the person that they're paying it to. Here's the items in the invoice. Again, who knows what all this stuff is, right? It doesn't, I mean, it matters, but what really matters is the dollar amount and things like that. So let's look at an example here. So let's say that an invoice for shipment of Henkel cutlery from Germany is dated October 1st as of November 1st with terms of 3/15 net 30. Find the last date at which the cash discount may be taken. So again, in this case, because it's post-dated, you wouldn't begin on August 21st. You'd begin on November 1st, right? So you'd have 15 days after November 1st, after the post date, to take a 3% discount, right? So that would be November 16th would be the date of discount, and then the net payment due date, right? You have 30 days for that. So, and again, this would be dated as of November 1st. Well, what's 30 days after November 1st, right? Well, 30 days has September, April, June, and November. So November has 30 days in it. So if you add 30 days to November 1st, that brings you to December 1st, right? And so again, and you don't actually, it doesn't give you any information to find out what the discount will be in this case. All you're trying to do is find the dates of the discount. So let's look at another example here. An invoice from Cellular Products is dated May 18th and offers terms of 4/10, 3/25, and 1/14 net 60. So what this means is they're offering several discounts here, right? So again, what this means is if you pay it within 10 days, right, you get a 4% discount. If you pay it within 25 days, you get a 3% discount. If you pay it within 40 days of the date, right, you get a 1% discount. And if you pay it within 60 days, you don't have to pay a penalty. But after 60 days, you'd maybe have to pay a penalty if you pay the net or whole amount. So find the dates, right? So what's 10 days after May 18th? Well, that would be May 28th. What's 25 days after May 18th? Well, 25 days after May 18th would put you sometime into June, right? So 25 days after May 18th would be like June 12th. And 40 days after May 18th also would be sometime in June. That would be June 27th, right? And again, it's not asking you to calculate the net payment. It just wants you to find the 3 dates for the discounts, right? And then, you know, the final payment would be due by the 60th. So net payment is dated July 17th, and that's 20 days beyond the cash discount period. Right, the last, right, that would be 20 days after this last discounted period, or 60 days after May 18th, which would be July 17th, right? So you have until July 17th to pay the whole bill off. Right? Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. If you guys have questions about that or anything, just let me know.